Special thanks to my friend Breadbug Genius for recommending this game for a video, explaining the gameplay and providing lots of input on the story and themes. There are lots of games out there that are more than meets the eye, the kinds that have deeper plots than you might think on the surface level. These always end up being welcome surprises for me. Have you ever had an experience like that? Nights into Dreams is one of those games. What looks like an old game about a flying silly jester is actually a tale about overcoming anxiety. It's also about dreams, as you'd expect. The team behind the game went so far as to study sleep, dreams, and the works of famous psychoanalysts. Welcome to Games for Healing, the web series where we look at video games dealing with life struggles, life lessons, and mental health. Nights into Dreams is a game that a lot of people love, but also one that's very misunderstood. Many people don't understand the gameplay and end up giving up on it. Parts of the story can easily be missed. Even if you beat the game, you might come out of it having no idea what just happened. It released in 1996 for the Sega Saturn, got a PS2 port, and got an HD remake for PC, PS3, and Xbox 360. I played the HD remake on PC. It's the most accessible way to play it in the modern day. It's not one-to-one with the original on the original hardware, but it's considered a faithful and well-made remake. You can even play with the original Saturn-style graphics if you so choose. Nights was developed by Sonic Team, and that's clear to see. The game features a lot of DNA and style with its blurring blue sibling. Our main character named Nights is androgynous and genderless. The director of the game has said that the character's gender and pronouns are up to each individual player to interpret, so Nights is whatever you want them to be. I'll be referring to Nights as a they. That's the way I see them. This is a really great character design, by the way. The game starts with a nice cinematic of Nights gracefully flying through the air and expressing their playful spirit. The actual beginning of the story, however, is easily missable. There are two other main characters, teenagers named Clarice and Elliot, who live in a city called Twin Seeds. To see how they tie into things, you'll have to let the game sit on the title screen for a bit. Both teenagers have their own opening cutscene which you'll have to trigger separately. I assume which one you see is a 50-50 chance, so you may have to do it a few times. We see Clarice asleep, dreaming about an event that transpired earlier that day. Clarice has a knack for singing, which leads to her going to an audition. The judges don't seem too enthusiastic about their jobs and are clearly lacking interest in the girl in front of them. Their impatient manners lead to Clarice experiencing stage fright. Her hope is dashed. This dream quickly turns into a nightmare as the judges transform into glowing red-eyed monsters. The scared girl runs away and eventually reaches a warm light. Elliot is also asleep at this time, dreaming of playing basketball with a group of other teenagers. He seems to be doing well and to be enjoying himself. That is, until he's met with a crushing defeat. The others make him feel humiliated. The nightmare begins and the basketball players turn demonic. Elliot runs away. These cutscenes are corny and awkward, but in a lovingly endearing way. They remind me of early CG cartoons and movies. The uncanniness does give it an appropriate dreamlike quality. Now we can start playing the game and see where it takes us. The two teens will meet Nights, and they'll go on a journey to defeat the antagonist. You can choose either of the two characters. Each have 3 unique levels. They both share the final level, so you'll be playing that one twice. If you want some additional story and the basics of the game explained, there's this how to play section. There's also a story blurb in the manual of the original physical game. From this and research I found online, the context of the story goes a bit like this. When humans go to sleep, they subconsciously arrive in a world called the Night Dimension. This world has 2 halves, Nightopia, a land of dreams, and Nightmare, a place of, you guessed it, nightmares. The ruler of Nightmare is called Wise Man the Wicked. His underlings are called Nightmarins. Nights is one of these Nightmarins and is one of the most powerful. Despite being an entity forged by a master of nightmares, Nights has a good heart and a playfully mischievous side. These traits combined lead to Nights rebelling against Wiseman the Wicked. This gets Nights imprisoned as punishment. The children in our story are the ones who find and free Nights in their dreams. Together they venture forth and try to stop the bad guy. Wiseman the Wicked's scheme is to open up a portal to invade the real world. To do this, he needs to steal dream energy from humans. This dream energy is called idea. Humans possess 5 types of them, all based on positive mental aspects. These are courage, purity, intelligence, wisdom/growth, and hope. When you start a level, your character will have all but one of their ideas stolen. The remaining one is courage, which is so powerful that the Nightmarans can't take it away. This idea of courage is what they use to free Nights from the gazebo-like prisons that Wiseman trapped them in. Once Nights is freed, you'll actually transform into them and take to the skies gracefully. The goal is to recover the stolen ideas and then to fight the level's boss. As I said earlier, the game took inspiration from the works of famous psychoanalysts. This includes Carl Jung, who is well known for his shadow theory. Put simply, a human's shadow is a part of themselves that they aren't consciously aware of. It's a part of us that we've repressed for one reason or another. Memories or flaws that we might be in denial about. The shadow can also be unrealized capabilities or talents that we're afraid of using. The shadow is always there, hiding beneath us even if we aren't aware of it. According to the game's lead programmer and producer, Yuji Naka, Nights is a reflection of the shadow archetype. Going off of this, it becomes safe for us to say that Nights is the shadow of both Claris and Elliot. Nights is a character defined by bravery, self-advocacy, and freedom. You could say that Nights is the teen's inner strength and confidence that they aren't aware of. Yuji Naka has also said that Elliot reflects the animus archetype, which is the unconscious masculine side of a woman. Claris reflects the anima archetype, which is the unconscious feminine side of a man. There's also an archetype called the Wise Old Man, and here we have a villain whose name is just Wise Man with a Z. There was going to be a character based on the archetype of the Self, but they were ultimately scrapped and don't appear in the final game. The bosses, the high-ranking Nightmaran, could also have some sort of symbolism attached to them. Let's look at Elliot's bosses. Elliot's anxiety grew from being humiliated during a basketball game. His first boss is named Puffy. She's clearly very round, and you defeat her by launching her into breakable walls. This requires proper aim. Aiming a round object into a specific spot sounds a lot like basketball, doesn't it? His second boss is Claws, a Cheshire cat-like creature. Cats are known for their agility and jumping abilities, which Claws certainly has as he dodges you and jumps between the top and bottom of the arena. Elliot's third boss is Rila, who is a first-level Nightmaran like Nights. The two are rivals. While Nights is kind, Rila is cruel. Rila could also fit the shadow archetype, but unlike Nights being a positive shadow, Rila is a negative one. Claris's first boss is Gilwing, a dragon. I wondered what a dragon could possibly have to do with singing and stage fright, but then I was informed that Gilwing's boss theme is called "The Dragon Gave a Loud Scream." Perhaps Claris thinks of herself as a monster whose singing could only be comparable to an ugly scream. Her second boss fight is a fish named Gulpo. This fight takes place underwater. This could represent anxiety surrounding Claris and making her feel like she's drowning. Her third boss is Jackal, who is the same type of Nightmaran as Nights and Rila, or at least a failed version of that type. Jackal could be another type of negative shadow. Both Claris and Elliot share their final boss battle, Wiseman the Wicked. Defeating the Nightmaran could represent the teenagers working through their issues in their sleep. After all, getting a good night's rest is healthy for the mind. Our brains do a lot of maintenance work while we're asleep. Normally, the two human characters are only capable of walking and jumping around. An alarm clock will chase them, and if they're caught, it's game over, or as the game calls it, a night over, since the clock wakes them up. Only by freeing knights, their shadow of self-confidence and inner strength, can they transform into knights and fly. Knights can do spectacular stunts and soar with grace. An excellent gameplay representation of finding freedom from anxiety and self-doubt. It's unrealistic to permanently erase the negative parts of ourselves. Knights isn't invincible. Once they take to the air, there will be a time limit for every section of the level, and getting hit by enemies will remove time. These are the same enemies that steal the ideas, the human dream energy, at the beginning of each level. If the timer runs out, knights will be abducted and trapped in the gazebo prison again, leaving the children to again need to free the lovable flying jester. The nightmare in taking away the ideas and trapping knights is like a physical representation of the kids being cut off from their confidence. The ideas of positive mental characteristics being taken away could represent their anxiety and self-doubt, making them blind to their own positive qualities. The final level has whichever teen you're playing as get immediately separated from knights. They find themselves trapped on a small floating patch of land. There's nothing you can do other than look down into this seemingly bottomless expanse until it occurs to you. Maybe it's time to be brave and jump. They'll fall, disappear, and then there will be a moment of silence. Suddenly they'll rise into the sky with all of the abilities of knights. The shadow within them has risen to the surface. They function identically to knights gameplay-wise, but they lack the ability to do the paraloop attack. I suppose it could be because they're still new to the whole self-confidence awakening thing. The timer is still there. Just because they can fly now doesn't mean anxiety isn't still a struggle. At the end of the level, the character you weren't playing as will cross over and help you free knights. Both characters will then take on the form of knights and go on to challenge and defeat Wise Man the Wicked. In Elliot's ending, he has a rematch game of basketball. Just as one of the bullies tries to block him, he remembers his time flying in his dreams, which gives him the confidence to jump over the bully and do a slam dunk. This leaves everyone impressed. In Claris's ending, she goes to the audition again. Instead of freezing up and running away, this time she sings beautifully and wows the judges. In the secret ending, Elliot attends the 100th anniversary festival of the city. He sees that there's a musical taking place and feels drawn to it. The star singer happens to be Claris, the girl Elliot only knew from his dreams. Their eyes meet and they have a moment. The nightmares stop, for now at least. Both characters have not only come out of their ordeal stronger, but they've also made a new human connection, a friend, maybe even a romantic interest. Nights into Dreams is a game with a wonderfully whimsical story that's represented through the symbolism and through gameplay. That leads us to the reason why many people consider it to be a tad obtuse: the gameplay. It honestly isn't explained very well. We get the very basics if you read about it in the How to Play section. It just says to collect 20 blue balls, or blue chips as they're officially called. This is a Sonic the Hedgehog blue spheres situation. Once you collect 20 blue chips in a lap, you can retrieve one of your stolen ideas. This lets you go unlock the next lap where you do the same thing. Each lap is unique. There will be 4 laps in each level. I went into Nights into Dreams expecting a typical adventure starring a silly mascot. It's still an adventure, but it's a game about making high scores. I much prefer going on a journey in games as opposed to racking up numbers, but the latter is still fun. The game doesn't do a good job telling you how to get high scores. The reason you want to get at least a C ranking in each level is because you require at least a C ranking in each level to unlock the final level and final boss. Nights into Dreams is very short but has a high learning curve, and the final level has a massive difficulty spike. I found the game very confusing at first, but with a bit of practice and research, things started to click more. Nights is a lot like its sister series Sonic the Hedgehog, or at least the 2D Sonic games. It's like Sonic in the Sky. Both require a lot of practice, repetition, and reflexes. By memorizing the levels, you can find the optimal routes to take to maximize your speed. Speed is the ultimate reward. You're going to have to remember the contents of all of these laps, because it's pretty hard to react to things when the game tells you to react to things the moment they're already in your face. This leads to my biggest issue with the game, the camera. I oh so wish that it could be zoomed out more. Imagine being able to see things for a longer amount of time before they're right up in your grill. I think this is a good game, but it would be so much better if it weren't so zoomed in. Knights can see the things coming up right in front of them, so why shouldn't the player be able to? The remake is widescreen, opposed to the original game that was meant for 4x3 CRTs. The remake is 16:9, but everything still feels zoomed in. The opportunity was there. Maybe there are things off screen that we aren't supposed to see, or maybe the zoomed in camera was just the creator's vision. I've been informed that the HD version of the game may have been based on the Japan exclusive PlayStation 2 version of the game, which was for 4x3 displays. The camera especially bugs me in the wider levels where there's more space you can look around in. In the more narrow sections, it's not so bad. When you lose to a boss, you have to repeat the entire level. This is frustrating since the game gives you a time limit to actually figure out how to damage the boss and to then defeat them. It's unlikely that you'll beat every boss on the first try. You'll want to beat them quickly to get a good ranking. After I was done with the game, I realized that after you finish a level, you can refight the boss at any time from the level select screen. This is sure to be a big help for anyone who wants to master the battles before they take on the real things again. I'm glad that I had the internet and a friend to help me with the game. Otherwise, it would have taken so much longer to understand the gameplay and how to get high scores. I'll try to make it simple. At first, I thought that with each lap, you just had to go from point A to point B, with B being the finish line. If you do this, you'll get a bad ranking. What you have to do is actually go around the finish line, looping back to point A. Do this as many times as you can while building your score and get to the finish line just before the time runs out. The new lap in the new section of the level will start, and the time limit will be reset. To unlock the next lap, you need 20 blue chips to unlock an idea. Then you take that idea to the thing that I've been calling the finish line. What builds up your score is getting more chips beyond the 20. They turn yellow after you get 20, which just lets you know that you're ready to move on to the next lap whenever you're ready. The other ways you'll be building your score is by flying through hoops, collecting stars, and defeating enemies. If you fly through a special hoop, the music will change and you can do tricks, which will give you lots of points. Knights has a move called a drill dash, which speeds them up and damages enemies. It's great for speeding through levels when you have the layouts memorized. Using it with no knowledge of what's ahead is no good. Spinning in a circle will create a small explosion that collects items and damages enemies. This is called a paraloop. It'll only work if the stream of sparkles behind Knights connects with itself. Knights can also grab enemies. Upon grabbing something, you have the option to either paraloop them or drill dash them. It's a simple and fun moveset. Each level has a special section that changes the camera angle to either a top-down view or a forward-facing view. These always caught me off guard on the first runs. They're actually pretty neat and were obviously Sega showing off the 3D graphics of their shiny new Sega Saturn. The game plays in full 3D while you're playing as the teenagers. Something the game doesn't tell you is that you can get a head start on points by collecting a bunch of blue chips on foot before the timer even starts. You'll be chased by that alarm clock on foot, but there's no time limit and the alarm clock moves so slowly that it never caught me even once. Once you transform into Knights, the game becomes 2.5D, that is to say, gameplay on a 2D plane that has full 3D graphics. The bulk of the game is controlling Knights in this 2D space. The final level changes the rules a bit. You lose the ability to paraloop. Instead of having a time limit that resets with each lap, you have a single time limit, which means you'll have to speed through the whole level as fast as you can in one shot. This level is the widest of them all. It's a big difficulty spike compared to the other levels. It took me a bunch of trial and error attempts. It wasn't until I had the location of at least 20 blue chips in all 4 laps memorized that I could beat it. Nights is a game that's so fast that I feel like I'm not allowed to blink while I'm playing it. When I was still getting through the odd learning curve, the game made me feel very anxious. But much like the anxiety of our protagonists, mine began to fade away as I got slowly better at the game and soared more gracefully. The game won't click for everyone, but if it does, it becomes so much fun. If you're planning on giving it a try, I highly recommend that you be very patient and do some research as well. Just like classic Sonic, this game is fast but requires patience. If you take the time to improve, you'll be rewarded with blinding speed and freedom that'll make you feel proud. I'm glad that I played Nights into Dreams. I had trouble getting the hang of it, but I eventually started getting better scores. For every aspect of the game that irks me, there are a bunch of other things that I really like. I like the game from philosophical and psychological standpoints. I think that flying feels amazingly smooth. The game looks great whether it be the original or the HD version, and the music is absolutely stellar. This is Sonic Team we're talking about. They have a great track record with music. The song that plays during the credits is a lyrical one, and it's an awesomely cheesy and catchy bop. Speaking of which, if you get an A ranking on every level, the credits theme will be altered. Instead of kids singing it, it'll be adults singing. The song lyrics pointed out to being a love song, most likely between Claris and Elliot, who met in their dreams and go on to meet in real life. Or it could be interpreted as a song about a dreamer meeting Nights, a song of self-love, since meeting Nights could be the equivalent of finding self-love. Nights shows us that despite our fears, our self-doubt, and our anxiety, we all have something within ourselves that lets us dash those things. We can find our courage, our confidence, and our advocacy. We can get through the many trials and tribulations that come with the human experience. We can fly. Nights into Dreams is a dreamy delight that'll make you smile if you take the time to learn it. I'd recommend that you try it at least once and don't give up on it. Make sure you get your sleep tonight, and remember that you're braver than you know. Tomorrow is there for the taking. Maybe there's a positive shadow within you that's just waiting to be freed. Until next time, I'll see you later. Stay strong out there.